20 years have passed, and memories of my husband, Odysseus, are gradually fading away from my mind like a fog. The suitors have become more aggressive than ever. They have become wild like boars. Every time I look at the hall, leftovers from parties for hosting the suitors are in piles like a mountain, and my maids are always busy butchering and cooking our animals. Cows, pigs, and sheep were screaming as if they wanted to escape from the suitors. My son, Telemachus, returned after 3 years of his journey to find Odysseus, but he was unable to find any signs of his father. The suitors scorned him for wasting time on the sea. Shocked to hear that Odysseus was yet to be found, tears dripped down my face. I went to my room, silently cried, and whispered, "Oh, Odysseus, where are you now?" Every day, I tried to forget about the harsh reality by falling asleep deeply. The routine of trying to avoid reality continued until one day I had a weird dream of myself meeting Morpheus, the god of sleep. He said, "Penelope, queen of Ithaca, you have been waiting for Odysseus for a long time. By the order of Athena, I, Morpheus, will help you stop the suitors from staying in your palace." I said, "But how? How am I able to stop them?" He replied back, "Look back into your memories of Odysseus. Find the one thing that only Odysseus can accomplish. Dive into the seas of memories, and you shall find the answer." Panting, I woke up from the dream, and Morpheus was gone. I carefully searched around the palace. I was unable to find anything that only Odysseus could do, and not the suitors. Something glinted from the back of my mind as though the last page of my memories with Odysseus was trying to send me a message. I hurried to Odysseus' storage, and I found his bow and arrows, where he left it before heading to Troy. I spoke to myself, this will be the key to overcome the suitors. I walked into the hall and made an announcement to the suitors. "Suitors, I have a final test for you. This is Odysseus' bow. He used to demonstrate his archery skills and strengths by showing an arrow through all 12 axe heads in a line with a clear shot. The one who can string the bow and make the same shot will be chosen as the next king." Upon hearing my announcement, the suitors' faces were distorted in confusion, and there were complaints about how such a competition was impossible and simply preposterous. The leader of the suitors, Antinous, laughed, stood up, and said, "Suitors, do not complain. This is the moment that we have all been waiting for. Indeed, Queen Penelope is the prize that we wanted the most. Getting her means owning Ithaca. So quit complaining and set up your mind for the competition. But before that, let's drink, eat, and celebrate for the last time." The suitors started to set up the axe heads. After setting them up, they tried to string the bow. However, the suitors gave up one by one. Even my son, Telemachus, tried to string a bow in order to continue his father's legacy. Yet he was not able to string the bow and gave up just like the others. Antinous laughed. "Ha! Did you think you could become the next king after a father? I guess you're weak after all. Now let me try, for I am much smarter and stronger than any of you." Antinous tried to string the bow with all his might, but the string refused to move an inch to attach with the bow. I actually felt relieved when I saw his panting face filled with confusion and frustration. Eventually, he threw the bow into the ground and gave up, just like the other suitors. Antinous grumbled, "This is impossible." I stated, "It seems like there's no one who can string a bow. Shame that nobody's strong as King Odysseus. Suitors, this competition was a fair game. I did not do anything on Odysseus' bow. So, be gone. The party is over." The suitors accepted the loss of the competition and headed to the harbor to leave Ithaca. Although Antinous did not accept his loss, the other suitors persuaded him to give up on his greed by telling him the story of Aristophane. My maids cleaned the mess the suitors left behind, and the hall finally fell silent. Since the arrival of the suitors, the hall has never been so quiet and peaceful. Suddenly, a thunderstorm was heard, and Eumaeus hurriedly ran into the hall. He said, "My queen, there is a fire near the harbor. Please come and look outside." I went outside the hall and saw a scorching fire on a ship. The large, shiny golden ship could be seen from far away, and I knew that it was the suitor's ship. With fire all over its deck, the ship started to sink slowly from its tail, and its head eventually sank into the bottom of the ocean. The suitors were all dead, but the fact that Odysseus was not here still remained the same. Although the journey to find his father made Telemachus mature enough to rule the kingdom, I believe he still needed more experience to become more like his father. It was certain that as the queen of Ithaca, I needed to lead this kingdom until death. As the sun started to set, I noticed that an old man entered the hall. I carefully asked, "Old man, what brings you here?" The old man answered, "Queen Penelope, I was wondering if the competition was still going on. I asked the person near the harbor about this challenge. Mind if I get a chance?" I replied back, "Sure, everyone in this palace has a chance to become the next king of Ithaca." The old man silently grabbed the bow and analyzed it very carefully. He tapped on the wood of the bow and slowly strung the bow with his old dry hand. He quickly drew the bow with an arrow and shot perfectly through all 12 axe heads. I could not believe my own eyes. At that moment, the sunlight momentarily blinded my eyes, and when my eyes refocused to observe the old man was nowhere to be found. However, Odysseus stood right in front of me instead. Odysseus, the man I have waited for more than 2 decades, has finally returned.